I wanted to add a few points on to how to use a devil because there are some things that I feel would be easier explained by using another understanding or example. So, as I've said already, people come to a faith or religion or whatever for the promises of a devil. Another way of looking at this is that people come to a priest who has a contract with a devil because they want to have the powers of that devil. That means that those people cannot form contracts themselves. Their souls aren't at a level that can form a contract with a devil. So for them to gain the devil's power, they can't do it on their own. Therefore, they have to go find a priest who can make contracts with devils. Another way of looking at this is to say, those people seeking a priest, they are seeking a priest because they lack the ability to use magic. So what they do is they find a priest who has a contract with a devil, and now they can use the devil's magical powers for themselves. So therefore, a priest offers those without magical abilities or are very weak in the magical department to use magic. A priest allows those to use magic who otherwise could not. That is the role and function of this. So there's that aspect. Another aspect on this is another use of greater devils. Greater devils, like I explained, like with summoning the spirit king, divine king, or the priest king, a part of that I was explaining was trying to show that when you create basically a void in heaven, you're creating an imbalance. But another way of looking at that, or another aspect of that, or another use, or this is just like, it's very similar or sometimes the exact same thing, or may actually cause this, but you did it for a different reason. As I've explained before, heavens are a cognitive facility, and heavens don't necessarily have to be shared among people. In other words, not everyone shares the same heaven. Heavens can be separate. Other people have their own heavens. So, one of the uses of a devil, and I'm getting into this just so it's very well understood. Let's say you have a deity, and that deity dies. I know it's crazy to think of it that sense, but it's dead, it's dying, it's a husk. One of the things you can do is summon a greater devil and basically use it like a puppet. In other words, a greater devil goes into this husk of a deity, and now it assumes its form. A way of looking at this is kind of like looking at how like a T-virus, takes over like the dead body, and now it's a zombie, and like can attack people or whatever. But in this case, think of it like a zombie god that's infected by a devil virus. We'll call it the D-virus just for fun. You can, cook up this D-virus, have it infect the dead body of a god, and now it's animated again. It can be used. And from this, one of the uses is, because your nation's dying, or whatever, and you can look at that enemy nation, that enemy heaven, that enemy cognitive facility, and you can use that devil to attack it. You can wage a war on heaven. Not necessarily your own heaven, but someone else's heaven. Now, that being said, when you do something like this, and in this case, I'll give like more of what's happened in our own world. Certain sorcerers summoned a devil, and this devil was summoned to control their own people. Effectively, the devil made a nation. It united people under its own banner. So that's, a typical thing a devil can do. You can use a devil to create a nation. It's a greater use. By controlling all these people and uniting them under this devil. Kind of like think about like someone goes over and eat this poison, like whatever mushroom or something. They're all now linked psychically because the mushroom is controlling them all. Think of some mind controlling fungus or something. But that's the same effective thing of everyone eats a piece of this devil. They all take in this spiritual virus, and now they're all connected as one. Now that can give you a lot of strength as a nation of priests, so to say, or whatever. Well, it can give you a lot of strength, And actually, the way of saying that is a nation of priests. Not in the sense that everyone is a priest, but because they all consume that virus, they're now spiritually linked. It's like one large operating unit. However, that unit still could not take on another rival heaven. It was unable to do so. And because of that, their devil actually was defeated, driven out. They could not have a true physical victory. And then they did something interesting. They took a devil and made it into a man. This is very interesting because I'll say the concept now, just so it's understood. This is the devil twice crowned. If you take God's body, some deity, and you infect it with a virus, the devil is there now in that God body. But what if you're to reinfect it again with another devil? And this is like why the devil's twice crowned. One devil is meant to control and create this nation of priests, while the other devil is meant to separate and keep and create and destroy another heaven.